You good?
I wasn't supposed to play the music, and now I'm going to play the music tonight. So he said, oh, yeah, play this song. Then I played the music when we finally get the damn thing to work. And then somebody did it was the wrong music. And then as we're going through looking for it, scrambling for it, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I played it again. He's like, oh, that's the right one. I thought that's what we heard.
Good, sir. Very uneasy. Just walk through this. You're not clear. You guys look pretty good, I thought. I just asked about what you guys do. Make sure I don't. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The change of responsibility ceremony will begin in 3 minutes. Please take your seats and silence all cell phones. This ceremony will be conducted as an outdoor ceremony. All military personnel will wear headgear and render proper outdoor military courtesies. As a reminder, during our national anthem, service members in uniform will stand at attention and salute, while civilians are asked to place their right hand over their heart. It's 3 minutes, people. Thank you. Hat on, sir. Just a reminder for all military personnel, headgear will be worn. Stand off to the side. until you give me the invitation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Assistant Adjutant General of the Delaware National Guard, Brigadier General Carl C. Danberg, would like to welcome you to the Command Chief Warrant Officer Change of Responsibility Ceremony between Command Chief Warrant Officer Richard Wince and Chief Warrant Officer 5 Ronald D. Wilson. I am Chief Warrant Officer 3 Chris Slicer and will be Master of Ceremonies for today. Please stand for the National Anthem and Invocation given by Chaplain Andrew Warner.
God, our creator and sustainer, you are the author of liberty. We're grateful we live in a nation of the free and the brave. We're thankful for that and resolute to have it continue. We gather here for the change of responsibility for our state's Command Chief Warrant Officer. This is an important day for the Delaware Army National Guard and for the two individuals, Chief Wince and Chief Wilson. The Warrant Officer Corps our Army's subject matter experts. They are a vital part of mission success. We thank you for your presence here with us today and every day you give us. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Chaplain Warner, for that meaningful prayer. Before introducing the host for this morning's ceremony, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the special guest in attendance today. As soldiers and leaders, we would not achieve the levels of success in our careers without the love and unwavering support of our families. Joining us today for this special event is Chief Wince's parents, Father Dick and Mother Carmela, watching virtually Sister Danielle, his wife Ann, and daughters Jessica, Nicole, and Michelle, and Jessica's boyfriend Nick Barrett. Chief Wilson's wife Lynn, son Ron Jr. watching virtual, friends Barry and Marie Corrigan, Terry Ellis, and Melba Remick. Our distinguished guests are the civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, Major General Delaware retired Terry L. Wiley, Major General Michael R. Berry, Commanding General, Delaware National Guard, former Adjutant General for Delaware, General Delaware retired Francis D. Valvola, Brigadier General Kenneth Haltom, Chief of Staff Air, Brigadier General James A. Benson, Director, Joint Staff, Delaware National Guard, Command Sergeant Major Edward Crossman, State Command Sergeant Major Army, Chief Master Sergeant Patty Ann Ottinger, State Command Chief, Lieutenant General Retired Delaware James Begley, former Assistant Adjutant General Army, and a warm welcome to all other veteran service organizations, military members, retired general officers, and retirees, family and friends attending with us today in person and in virtual. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the host for today's ceremony, Brigadier General Carl C. Danberg, Commanding General, Delaware Army National Guard. Today's ceremony represents a change of responsibility between the outgoing and incoming Command Chief Warrant Officer for the state of Delaware. The Command Chief Warrant Officer is the senior warrant officer in the state. They serve as the personal advisor to the Adjutant General and his staff on all issues pertaining to policies, programs, and actions impacting the Warrant Officer Corps, including professional development, promotions, assignments, incentives, morale, discipline, performance, strength, and recruiting programs. The Command Chief Warrant Officer coordinates warrant officer issues between the National Guard Bureau and Army proponents. The sword in today's ceremony is of the utmost significance. It is the symbol of the charging of care of the Army National Guard Warrant Officer Program. The act of passing the sword during today's ceremony is symbolic of the transfer of responsibility for the outgoing Command Chief Warrant Officer to the incoming Command Chief Warrant Officer. At this time, Brigadier General Danberg, Command Chief Warrant Officer Wince, and Chief Warrant Officer 5 Wilson, please come forward. Command Chief Warrant Officer Wince and Chief Warrant Officer 5 Wilson have asked newly appointed Warrant Officer 1, Paul W. Romer, to present the saber as a symbol of the future of the Warrant Officer cohorts. Command Chief Warrant Officer Richard Wince receives the saber from Warrant Officer 1 Romer in a final deference of his authority and leadership. Having faithfully served with distinction, Command Chief Warrant Officer Richard Wince passes the saber to Brigadier General Danberg, signifying the relinquishing of his duties and gratitude for the opportunity to care for the Delaware National Guard warrant officers. Brigadier General Danberg passes the saber to Chief Wilson, delegating the authority and entrusting him with the responsibility and care of the Delaware National Guard's warrant officers. Chief Wilson passes the saber back to Warrant Officer 1 Romer, symbolizing his dedication to the warrant officers of the Delaware National Guard and the continuity of the warrant officer cohorts. At this time, Staff Sergeant Mapp will present red roses to Ann Wince for her devotion, dedication, and tireless support of her spouse. Staff Sergeant Mapp will now present yellow roses to Lynn Wilson to welcome her to the command. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear Brigadier General Danberg's remarks on Chief Wince.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The fear of starting to introduce people is, of course, you forget somebody, and unless I'm mistaken, we do need an alibi. I think we skipped my counterpart in the Delaware Army National Guard, the Director of the Joint Staff, Brigadier General Jim Benson. So, Jim, thank you for joining us as well. So, I want to start out a little bit about Chief Wince's bio, how he came to be here, and then a little bit personal. And as you saw, as we exchanged the sword, I had some personal remarks for each of these two gentlemen. So what most of you know, all of the soldiers in the room know, I am new to my position. I've been in this seat a hot 2 months. And frankly, there have been 3 people that have really made this transition work for me. Command Chief Crossman, but then these 2 gentlemen. They're the ones who kind of held my hand through this process and made it work. So this is a great day for the Delaware National Guard. It's an important day for the Delaware National Guard. But it's also an important day for me to recognize these 2 individuals. The position of CW5 in this organization is an incredibly important one. In addition to being a mentor to many young soldiers, they are a personal advisor to both the TAG and to myself. And both of these gentlemen do a wonderful job in that role. So Chief, as you already have heard, he's married to Ann. Ann, thank you for joining us today. His 3 daughters, Jessica, Nicole, and Michelle, and Jessica's boyfriend, Nick, have joined us today. Thank you for being here. And his parents, Dick and Carmela, thank you for being here today. Delaware National Guard always talks about being a big family. But the reality is we can't do what we do on a daily basis, in and out, year after year, without the love and support of our families. And I'm sure that Chief Wince has leaned upon you heavily over the years to make his service work. Chief Wince has a great story. And I don't know whether he intended me to share this with everyone today or not, but he shared it with me yesterday. That's always a mistake, sharing personal secrets. Chief Wince's claim to infamy is that he's a college dropout. And he admitted that he started college, he was particularly immature at the time. And I almost failed out of the University of Delaware my freshman year at the University of Delaware, so I can relate to that. And he described how the military really helped him and grounded him so that he ultimately received his bachelor's degree from Rowan University. He went on to receive a master's degree in business administration from Drexel University. He served in the Army Reserves for 13 years. And he ultimately, he bounced around a little bit before coming to Delaware. He started out in the Army Reserves. He ended up leaving the Army Reserves, going to New Jersey National Guard, Pennsylvania National Guard, the Reserves again at some point, and I don't know that I have the order correct, but he bounced around a little bit as he tried to manage his career. He then transferred to the Delaware Army National Guard, and he has served the Delaware National Guard with great distinction for 22 years. Now, I'm going to talk about Chief Wilson in a moment, but I'd like you to bear in mind, these two gentlemen have served, in Mr. Wilson's case, longer as an NCO, and in Chief Wince's respect, longer in the Delaware National Guard than I have in the Delaware National Guard in total. Well, that's not quite true, approximate. I've got 23 years in total service. Chief Wince has 22 years of service just in the Delaware National Guard, not counting his 13 years of service prior to that. In 2005, he was activated to Fort Lewis, Washington with the 832nd Medical Company, and he served as a medevac pilot. He was deployed to Afghanistan in 2011 with the 126th Aviation Company as a standardization instructor and a medevac pilot supporting Operation Enduring Freedom. But his claim to fame for me is what he has done here in the Delaware National Guard over the last several years. So when he came in as a warrant officer, he set about to streamline the promotion process for warrant officers, not just in Delaware, but around the country. He helped to eliminate barriers to promotion within the warrant officer corps that disproportionately affected National Guard warrants as opposed to active duty warrants. In effect, warrant officers that were serving in the National Guard were penalized and were promoted behind their peers in the active duty army because of artificial barriers that had been erected. And he led the effort from around the country to tear down those barriers so that our soldiers could be treated with parity with the active duty. He's a mentor. He's somebody that is constantly seeking to help other individuals. And in that vein, he helped create a class to mentor soldiers who wanted to become warrants. Whether you want to become a warrant or an officer from the NCO Corps, you have to take a test. And you have to score high enough on the test to even qualify. And so he created a class for Delaware soldiers that allowed them to increase their scores so that they could participate in the warrant program. And in doing so, created a class for NCOs that wanted to become officers to increase their scores. He worked with other states in the region to help them do the same thing. And in fact, Delaware was the only state in Region 2 that had such a program. And I believe we still are the only state in the region to have this kind of a program. So he's helping New Jersey now, Maryland, Virginia, to help them get through this. But more personally, I would say Chief Wince's, probably his greatest characteristic, is he has such an easygoing demeanor and a ready smile, and it allows him to give direction and correction in a manner in which it's readily accepted by other people. And I've both seen him do it, and I have experienced him do it personally. 56 years old, I still take correction. Ask my wife. So he delivers advice with great effectiveness because of the manner in which he does it, and it's just who he is. He is just a kind person. And so it allows him to bring all of his training, all of his experience, all of his smarts to bear on fixing problems with less resistance from others. And that's an incredible tool. So Chief, if you'd like to join me at the podium, I'd like to invite you to make your remarks. But before you do, I have the privilege of thanking you personally for all you have done to make my transition into this job better. And so I'd like you to accept my call. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. I want to take a moment because, and General Wiley, forgive me if this is breaking protocol or not appropriate, but it's easy to stand up here and be nervous. But I want to tell you the little army men that you're wearing on your socks just puts my mind at ease. Thank you for that. All right, so I had this brilliant speech written. It was like epic, like MacArthur's Duty, Honor, Country, or Old Soldiers Never Die, but the dog ate it this morning. So seriously though, most of you know me and know I'm not smart enough to write something epic, so I'm just going to thank a few people. Mom and Dad, thank you for making me who I am. Ann, Jess, Nicole, Michelle, thank you for supporting me and keeping the family together all the years and time I've spent away, missing many important things. General of Avila, General Timmons, General Berry, General Benson, General Danberg, and especially General Fleming, my battle buddy for many decades. Thank you for allowing me to be your command chief. To my warrant family, thank you. I've been given a lot of credit over the years, but I recognize it's you that have done the hard work for the credit that I've received. Thank you for teaching me many things that I didn't know and keeping me on the right path over and over and over again. And then finally, to Chief Wilson. I'd like to think I did an okay job over the past few years. At least I don't think I broke anything. But over the past several months, I've come to the realization that not only is Ron a very capable person for the job, I actually think he's going to do a better job than I did. So thank you for not blaming me for the mess I left behind. I was just a placeholder. Life goes on. If we do a good job, perhaps we'll become a dog ear that marks a page, that notes a paragraph in a chapter in a book. My paragraph's closing. I hope at least somebody put a dog ear on it, if for no other reason than to know what not to do. Work hard on your dog ear.
So Chief Wilson has his wife Lynn with us today. Thank you for joining us. And my understanding is that Ron Jr., his son, is someplace in the ether joining us as well through the remote video here. Now, Chief Wilson and I haven't worked together all that long yet, but I am quite confident that he is going to move the bar higher. He is a dedicated professional, and in some ways more like me than Chief Wince is. Chief Wilson is sitting over there, flexing his fingers in nervousness at the moment. The two of us are a little more wound up tightly than Chief Wince is. For good or bad, we get a little nervous. So I know he's sitting there anxiously thinking about, oh gosh, I have to talk to you all in a moment. But Chief Wince, he obtained his associate's degree originally from Del Tech. He went on to get his bachelor's degree from Excelsior College and a master's degree from Wilmington University. He's also a graduate of Delaware's own Leadership Academy, and he has served in the Delaware National Guard for 39 years. So for a little bit of perspective, again, I'm 56, as I've already shared with you. I graduated high school in 1982 when Chief Wilson joined the Delaware National Guard. He served as an NCO for 22 years before becoming a warrant officer in 2004. He deployed to Iraq in 2008 with the 261st as the brigade maintenance warrant and served additional duty as the unit movement officer. He has a history of serving in positions of increasing responsibility and commitment to mentorship and development, which is a major reason why we selected Chief Wilson as the new Command Chief Warrant Officer. Chief Wilson has served in the design and planning and construction of our new CSMS facility, our maintenance shop facility, a brand new $36 million, 73,000 square foot facility, a state-of-the-art building that he was instrumental in getting constructed. He's standardized workflow within the CSMS to better understand backlogs and to get equipment out to our service members faster. He implemented an innovative process to expedite the repair of damaged equipment, significantly reducing the time that the equipment was rendered unserviceable. He is the epitome, in my view, of what a technical warrant officer should be. He has a highly developed skill set that was honed over many, many years of service. His skill set is deep, but his vision of what the Delaware National Guard should be is broad. He has a deep commitment to the whole mission of the Delaware National Guard and constantly does what he can do to be a force multiplier for our organization. He is meticulous in detail. He has a deep understanding how missing the little details can have an exponential and sometimes catastrophic consequence on mission, and has shaped him into being a big picture thinker. He's a professional and a great role model for the junior warrant officers and aspiring NCOs. I know some regular officers that could take a page from his book as well. So his catchphrase is maintenance is training. And this is a testament to his commitment to doing the right thing the right way every time. I am looking forward to serving with Chief Wilson, provided that he can keep me out of a ditch. Chief Wilson, as I said, gets a little nervous, and so I'm hoping to break the ice a little bit for him and make him relax a little bit by telling a little secret on him. So the first time Chief Wilson was assigned to drive me, about a month ago, we were coming back from River Road, having watched some folks down on the firing range. And if anybody's been driving on 141 in recent years, it's constantly under construction. Chief Wilson got confused about where he was supposed to turn. He turned left and ended up on the wrong side of 141 in the middle of a construction zone facing oncoming traffic, which was coming. His solution to this problem was to promptly turn right and drive into the construction zone ditch between the north and southbound lanes of 141. So he got himself a little wrapped around the axle. Car came out fine. I didn't die. I now sit in the back seat when he drives. But Chief Wilson, I think that we are going to have a very effective relationship. Your attention to detail, your drive to mentor junior soldiers, and your sage advice built over a long career in the Delaware National Guard is something that is going to be extremely valuable to the TAG and to myself. Please come forward for your remarks, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to make sure that I thank all the leaders here this evening. You're the biggest reason I've become what I've become. General Wiley, good Lord, it's hard to believe. General Wiley was, I don't think he quite made general when I first got in '82. General Vavala was my battalion commander in 1986. We had that discussion the other night when we were at a viewing. I would love to sit there and say that there was one or two instrumental people in my life that got me to this point in my career. It's seriously emotional for me. Learning never came easy for me. I think that's why I become very meticulous. It's always been challenging. I'm sitting here like, no, I was sitting there, I want to talk from my heart. I was going to write a few things down. Sitting here just doing this ceremony this week, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I need to really hone down and try to work through the ceremony. And I would love to sit here and say, hey, look, here's the ceremony. It all came together in one piece, and I put a lot of effort into it. Sergeant Major Crossman, part of that. Lieutenant Colonel Len Boyer, part of that. Donna Fields, extremely big part of that. Chief Slicer, where did you go, Chief Slicer? Behind me, there you go. A great guy, always behind me. I drove him nuts. I did mess with him a little bit. This is like the seventh printout of this ceremony today. 10? Yeah, 10. Plus we're still adding, but thank everyone that had anything to do with my career. General Begley, when he walked in this morning, he said, I think you were still a WO1 when our paths crossed. He was my battalion commander. He was preparing to deploy, and it's just amazing how the time has gone. 22 years as an NCO. My intention was, I heard a recruiter in school, and the recruiter told me that, hey, you can join the Delaware Guard. This was after I took the Navy ASVAB, and because I'm so bulked up and I carry so much weight with me, I did not quite pass the Navy weigh-in, so I had to come back home. The recruiter was a little upset with me. For every reason, things happen to you in your life. And about a month after that, I ran into Sergeant Hilligus, recruiter for the Delaware National Guard, and he's trying to spin this whole deal on me. And I said, well, I already took an ASVAB, but it didn't work out too well for me. So he grabbed my ASVAB and he said, hey, I want you to come in and I want you to be an electronics mechanic. And I said, that's great, but I don't want to be an electronics mechanic. I want to learn I want to get trained on working on vehicles. It inspires me, I love it. If I was a millionaire, I'd have my first race car, I can tell you that right now. So after a little bit of negotiations, I joined because I needed a job. I was getting ready to graduate high school in '82 as well, sir. I didn't realize that we had the same year. And I needed to find a job so that I could actually survive during the summertime. So I was like, hey, this is a great idea. I'll join the Guard. I'll go away for basic training in the summertime, and I'll make a little bit of cash, and I'll be able to pay my bills after high school. And I was only going to do it for about 6 years. I figured after 6 years, I think I'll have enough, and I think I'll be all right. I'll figure out a way to get to college, because I really, what you see standing here was not college material back in '82. Regardless of what my lovely wife tells me, that I was a geek in high school, that was hidden. I was just quiet. After she realized what a nice person I was, and I wasn't really as weird as I was, I asked her if she would marry me. She agreed to it, and shortly after that, I started going back to Del Tech in '89 and graduated my associate's degree. And I was like, hey, this school thing isn't that bad. It's not like high school. And I started really enjoying school, and I started learning how to learn. That's a whole thing in itself. And then I started understanding how to mentor and how to get the most out of soldiers. And that's something that I really try to do. It's not Ron Wilson that's going to make a great warrant officer. It's the Warrant Officer Corps that's going to make a great warrant officer. I'm here for helping with decision making, design, how to drive, how to mentor, how to make sure. My goal is to make sure that we mentor we don't mentor, but we want to make sure we have a mentor for every warrant officer, and in some cases an NCO, and the Delaware National Guard. And on the side note, on the side, that I will sit there and I'll talk to, I'm looking for a little sticky note that I have here, because there's some things I want to talk about. Here we go. In some cases, we need to mentor officers or give officers advice. And then in the same token, I'm not mentored just by every officer out there or every warrant officer. I'm mentored by NCOs. I told Sergeant Major Crossman the other day, I says, I hope you don't cringe every time I give you a piece of paper, or if I'm doing something that's not exactly militarily correct. The Warrant Officer Corps, the Warrant Officer Corps overall has 17 branches, and we have 47 specialties. Just in Delaware alone, we have 7 assigned branches, and out of the 47, we have 37 specialties. I currently have 18 warrant officer vacancies. We have, not I as the Command Chief have 18 vacancies. We collectively as an organization have 18 warrant officer vacancies. Some of them have been vacant for a very long time. Chief Wince has done a great job at getting us where we are. Chief, I need to continue what you've started, and I need to grow that. I need to learn how to get involved in the regional meetings that you have gotten involved in. Things that I'm weak in is going out, personally weak, is going out regionally and nationally and talking about things that are that may be hurting or harming the Warrant Officer Corps, or things we need to do to help. So currently we have an 80% strength in our Warrant Officer Corps. My goal over the next 3 years as the Command Chief Warrant Officer is to get us to 100% and then start working on excess warrant officers. That's my goal. And I realized over the last 3 or 4 years of interviewing young soldiers because they want to become technicians in the Delaware National Guard. Some of them don't understand what it takes to become a warrant officer. Some of them don't understand, hey, there's an option other than being an NCO. And I've been sending that message out. And I started realizing if I get an E4 early or an E3 early and let them know, hey, these are the things we need to do if you want to advance your career into the Warrant Officer Corps, or if they have the right college and they have the right skill set, the Officer Corps. It's not all about just a warrant officer, because we have to build the Warrant Officer Corps without breaking the NCO Corps or the Officer Corps. And I say the Officer Corps because there may be an officer out there that wants to stay in the Guard or doesn't want to be an officer anymore, may want to convert to a warrant officer. I say that to say that we as a Corps have a lot of work to do, because over the next, from 20 to 2025, I was just looking at some stuff today, we're projected to have 8 losses over the next 5 years. Out of those 8 losses, we've already have 3 that are going to ask for retirement. So, you know, this is an ongoing situation. I appreciate the trust that the leadership of the Delaware National Guard instilled in me to lead the officer corps. I'm going to do my best to raise the bar and not make it disappointing, sir. I do look forward to working with you more closely, relaxing a little bit more. My wife so I do have shenanigans. I am kind of a serious person at work, and I do have shenanigans, but my wife and I just celebrated our 32 years of marriage on March 4th. Lord only knows how she does it. I commend her every day. My son, he's 28. He just turned 28 years old. He's down in Ocala, Florida. He's working with a group called Young Life, and he's doing great. I would love to have him up here. He's our only son, and I do miss him every day. And my friends and family, I have Terry, Melba. Melba's been very instrumental with us when we were taking care of my mother. She stepped in and helped us watch my mother so my wife and I could go to work during the day. And it took a lot of stress off of us knowing we had someone that could sit with my mother while we were still going to work, because one of us was going to have to quit working, and she filled in that space. Terry, she's always there to support us, remind me that I'm effectively directly spending her federal government dollars, and I'm not going to be wasteful. And then Barry and Marie, they've been very supportive. I haven't known them very long, but I feel like I've known them my whole life. And I appreciate them coming out to sit with me today and share this moment with me. General Barry, I'm going to do my best for the organization. General Benson, I still remember when you were a second lieutenant and we were doing our PT test. We're still going strong and we're running. And I appreciate the support, and I'm looking forward to fulfilling this role.
Thank you, Chief Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction and the playing of the Army Psalm.
Almighty, as we finish here, we pray for Chief Wince as he moves into his next position, and we thank him for serving us as Command Chief. We also pray for Chief Wilson as he takes on the responsibility of Command Chief. May he meet the demands placed on him. Give him wisdom and strength as he advises command and leads the Warrant Officer Corps. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Command Chief Warrant Officer's Change of Responsibility ceremony. Please join us in welcoming our new Command Chief, Warrant Officer Ronald D. Wilson. The receiving line will form to your right. Thank you, and have a safe day.